9 a.m., a quorum of the commission being present, we'll call to order the Tuesday, July 23rd meeting of the Zionsville Redevelopment Commission. We'll start with the second item on the agenda, which is election of a new officer. Commissioner Hage has resigned from the commission to begin his new responsibilities as deputy mayor beginning, I believe August 5th. And so we do have a new member of the commission. It's Commissioner Brett Johnson. He's unable to attend today, but he has been sworn in as a commissioner, so he'll be joining us very soon. But that leaves a vacancy amongst the officers, and so we will need to select a new vice president for the remainder of the year. The only constraint that we have is that the office of president and vice president cannot be from the same appointing authority, and my appointing authority is the town council, so the vice president would need to come from the appointees of the mayor. And so I will open it up for discussion or a nomination.
So I nominate Darren Kinder for the role of vice president.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Condolences.
Thank you. I was about ready to object, but
Oh,
I'm not in court.
make it a rousing
No, thank
morning.
you.
I
Thank you
haven't
for
had
your honor.
enough coffee. I'm not sure I can.
I kept looking at you and waiting for you.
I wanted to create anticipation.
No, I wanted you to nominate yourself.
No.
The next item on the agenda is our consent items. We have the RDC monthly report, meeting minutes from our last meeting, executive session minutes, and then claims for approval. All of these items have been posted online and have been distributed to members. Are there any questions, comments, or revisions that need to be made at this time? Seeing none, is there consent? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Those items are approved, and we'll move next to the director's report. Corey.
Good morning, everyone. Corey Sharp. I have a couple things that I wanted to go through with you today. First is an update on the project, The Farm. This is a project located at 116th and Michigan Road on the, Sycamore and Michigan. Whew. I honestly have not had my coffee yet. So the first project that came through, it was the Farm Phase 1, and that was a Scannell project. They were looking for TIF funds to fund their parking garage and overall infrastructure on site. If you've been driving by over the last several months, they are in full swing. The garage is built, and multifamily units are under construction. The second phase is right around the wings, so this is more of a heads up for you. I have had a conversation with Mr. Pittman. Pittman Partners is the partner developer for the rest of the project. This project has been approved for planned unit development, and the remaining projects are primarily retail, office, grocery projects that will be along Sycamore and Michigan. Their infrastructure and TIF request will be limited to 50% of their TIF revenues, and that was based on the project agreement that we had established in the very first phase. The very first phase was a 95-5 split of TIF. Council at the time wanted to have the aggregate project have a 75-25 split. And so the project that we will see coming forward will be limited to 50% of the TIF based on the existing project agreement that we have. On a side note, Zach and the Zionsville team and myself are working on increasing a way for us to put these project agreements up on our Redevelopment Commission website so that when I reference these or we have questions in general, we and the public have an easy access point for these existing project agreements. We did put the farm in the monthly report that was part of your consent agenda as well. The second item I'd like to cover with you is legal services. Believe it or not, we are in the last half of the year, and we're trying to get ahead of our agreements and budgeting, things like that. So we have asked several different firms to submit proposals for legal services. I have received those proposals. They're an updated proposal from Ice Miller, our current counsel, Taft, Barnes and Thornburg, and then Hackman Hewlett. I'm looking for guidance from you on how you would like to review that, if that's going to the governance committee, if you would like your president and vice president, or who on the commission would you like to review these proposals and or work towards a selection?
Are there any comments, questions?
I was just say I'd be happy, however, wherever it goes, to participate in that review.
Okay, great, thanks.
Is it acceptable to have it assigned to the governance committee for review and a recommendation, and then we can, I'm happy to reach out individually or schedule some time to chat with individual commissioners to incorporate feedback?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
good.
Yeah, okay. We'll have that assigned to the governance committee for review. And what is the timing for a recommendation? I understand that we're doing budgeting for 25.
We're going to start that next month with the finance committee. When the selection will be at your discretion for that.
Okay, so we'll endeavor towards a recommendation at the August meeting, potentially September.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
And for your reference, I have emailed you all 4 proposals that we received. If you need a second round, let me know. All right. Item 3C is South Village PUD update. We have been working with Counselor Jacob, our legal counsel, to get this project through its various approval standpoints. And we received a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission on July 15th. Our next step to have the PUD move forward is getting it in front of council to actually adopt or make any other action that they would like. Hopefully they adopt it. We have submitted a final PUD to council and to interested parties. And that is available online at Zionsville.southvillage.com if you would like to take a look at it as well. The reason why the RDC has been playing such a critical role in this is because it casts the vision for our redevelopment projects in this area. There is over 100 acres, and we have property owners that are seeking redevelopment projects, and they're waiting for their class assignment, basically. So once the PUD is established, it's basically we as a community handing these property owners / developers their assignment, and then they have to fulfill and meet those guidelines. So those will be the next steps forward. Immediate step forward is having a council approval. And then after that, we'll be able to have conversations in a real meaningful way on mixed-use projects in the South Village. Any questions about the South Village or the PUD? Zach, did I miss anything?
I think you covered everything.
The PUD that was recommended by the Plan Commission, Creekside, is separate from what was included, correct?
That's correct. The final version has Creekside removed from the PUD. Okay, the last item that I would like to cover is the South Village Economic Development Study. We had asked Genovis to complete a study to help us understand how future development that involves commercial retail spaces impacts our community's tax revenues, impacts our job count. And so I have a presentation that I'd like to go through with you that was provided by them. We also, in your report, included the full analysis. So, oh, I see, I'm already up there. Just got to pull, maybe? Okay. When we started with Genovis, the project overview was the complete 160 acres. It was complete prior to bringing Creekside out of the PUD. And that was silly. I should not have shut my computer. So their analysis takes into consideration Creekside, okay? And actually, that is beneficial for us as we're thinking about, as our final steps of filling Creekside. It also takes into consideration the retail, commercial, and then we had them include townhomes and condos. And then just understanding that we are going to have a redesigned road going through there. I want this computer over here. That's why I'm struggling here. Page down. Okay. So in order to create tax revenue projections, we have to create assumptions. These assumptions were based on our PUD land use code, and then also any information that we could pull from our prior plans, like the Zionsville Gateway Master Plan. And then also it includes projects just outside of the PUD, Brick Street Inn. They have gone through their planning process. They are going to be working on expanding their hotel. It includes that expansion. And then obviously it also includes Creekside as well. Our project timelines that we had kind of given them was an assumption that we are complete with the planning effort this year. I know this is really hard to see, but then in 25, we're spending a lot of time in design with developers along with legal negotiations, and then potentially construction 26, 27 with full occupancy in 28. So you'll see on this very lightly shaded graph, projects where we have been proactive in making assumptions. This is not based on a developer's specific project. It is us trying to understand if we were to have a project, when would that tax revenue start flowing? And how does that impact our budget process going forward? Because we try to work, and the town is now trying to work on a 5-year budget. So just trying to make some assumptions as we go through there. When We look at the jobs created. We believe that there will be an additional retail jobs of 115 with an average wage of $19. And that's a type of regional number that they have used. And then commercial office. And then we also look at temporary jobs, construction jobs. So almost 2,000 temporary construction jobs, and then 350 office jobs. From a tax revenue impact, we're looking at a local property tax revenue of 27.3 million. For our property tax, income tax, 33.7 million, and then our local income tax of 11 million. All in for a 25-year impact of almost or a little over 100 million. This is based on, the wages that I just showed you, the number of jobs, when construction would start, and then also what the projects are. So these are data points that we're extrapolating to create an overall economic impact of 100 million over 25 years. If we were to just look at property tax revenue on an annual basis, we're looking at $1.2 million of annual tax created for just the commercial retail, and then a little bit of the single-family residential, which is the condos and townhomes. Income tax, we have two buckets for income tax. One goes to the state, and then one is local income tax. Our local income tax is distributed from the county and is conditioned based on a calculation. And so this assumption takes into account today's current calculation. If that were to change in the future, then the local income tax from each one of these items would obviously change. Other considerations that they took into the report is food and beverage tax. That is important for us to understand because Zionsville's food and beverage tax is primarily earmarked, for a better term, for economic development opportunities. It's for bringing in new companies and creating a vibrant village area or, other areas in the town as we move forward. Innkeeper's tax that the Boone County will see is $250,000 annually, and then sales tax of almost $700,000 annually. The job creation overall, we're looking at 1,500 jobs created as a part of the South Village. And then, we've got, again, they've broken out the tax revenue creation impact, looking at state revenues and local revenues. These are talking points that we can use when we are talking to state officials, especially IEDC, and considering grant programs like READY. READY is an economic development-driven program, and this type of data helps us communicate why we have such a strong vision for this area, and it is intentional. So, all of this information in their report, approximately 80% of the expected new property tax revenue is anticipated to come from commercial and retail development. In the PUD, we have multi-unit uses for living environment, AKA apartments. I'll just use the word. That is not considered in this program because we really wanted it to be focused around commercial and retail activities. And all of the tax revenue that, of the entire bucket, we're looking at 80% of that property tax revenue to come from commercial and retail. What is not considered when we take out apartments is the local income tax. Because local income tax is received by where you live. So the county that you live receives your income tax that you pay in, even if you may work in Marion County. Marion County would not, if you worked in downtown Indianapolis, Marion County would not receive those tax revenues associated with your income. That would be Boone County, and based on Boone County's calculation, it is then distributed amongst all of the different municipalities, and that works its way down. We do not have that calculation in here, and the primary reason is we don't know how many units there are going to be. That's the next step. We need to create the vision, and then we can hone in on understanding how many units there would be, and then what the demographics are of who an individual developer is seeking out, because if a development is 55 and older, their income may differ from a market rate development that does not have age restrictions, as an example. We are going to put this report up on our website, so that's going to be up and available, and happy to take any of your questions that you may have.
I don't have a question, just something that I think would be valuable to ask Genovis to follow up on. I was looking through the total analysis, and what I don't see that would be valuable information to have is how the growth in commercial assessed value over the 25-year time horizon alters the balance between residential tax base, commercial tax base for the town. I think that that's a helpful statistic for us to be tracking, is how much of our tax base is placed on commercial versus homeowners, and that should be fairly simple to do. The other question, I guess it raises a question, is the property tax revenue that's generated, all of that would be increment that would accrue in the Zionsville EDA, correct?
For a time, yes.
Until it expires,
Correct.
which is, remind me, 32?
34 is
34.
what is on the.
So the
I could-
25-year time horizon in this analysis extends beyond the expiration. I imagine that some of the anticipated projects that are, once the PUD is, once there's certainty on the PUD, many of the projects that are in the pipeline that come forward, we anticipate that there will probably be some incentive requested, and the increment that's garnered from those projects will help offset those
Yes.
requests. Okay. All right. Any other questions on this? No? I think I agree with your assessment. It's really good information to have. The only other question I have goes back to the farm phase 2, Corey.
Yeah.
Phase 1, those are developer-backed bonds. Phase 2, are they going to be going to market for bonds? And the way that I understand is in order for us to maintain the 75-25 aggregate split in TIF revenues. This Phase 2 project will be a 50-50 split of TIF revenue.
That's correct. And it is assumed that they will also be developer-backed bonds. We did ask the development team that last week, what their intention was, and it is to follow the same program.
And Phase 2 is the commercial outlots. Is this going to be more multifamily, or is it primarily retail, commercial?
There will be no additional multifamily. It is only retail, commercial. So think restaurants, bank, grocery store, programs like that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions on the director's report? Seeing none, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll move on next to, we have no old business, we'll move to new business. The only item that we have is a taxpayer agreement for the Wild Air Development. We have a resolution approving that taxpayer agreement. I understand that we have counsel from Ice Miller with us virtually, Heather James from Ice Miller. Heather, if you're able, would you please just kind of walk through the key aspects of the taxpayer agreement for us?
Yeah, sure. So you're all familiar with this project. We've already been through the entire approval process. So the thing that has changed here is that we originally anticipated that the developer would be purchasing their own bonds, and that is no longer the case. They're going to have a third-party purchaser involved, the Hageman folks. And so this taxpayer agreement simply provides further security for these bonds. So instead of the bonds only being secured by TIF generated by the project, if for some reason the TIF that's anticipated to be generated is not there, then this taxpayer agreement puts the developer on the hook to the bond purchaser and requires that developer to make additional payments to make up any delta between the anticipated bond payments and the TIF that's actually generated. So this is really just further security for the bonds to make that purchaser comfortable that they are going to get the benefit of their bargain and be paid the debt service that they're due.
Heather, who is, I don't have it in front of me, what entity is entering into the taxpayer agreement and/or guaranteeing that payment? Is it the SPE or the actual?
It's an LLC. It's Wild Air Multifamily LLC.
And there's no other backup behind that? Because typically there's some sort of existing entity that has real financial backing that would be involved here.
Yeah. Well, and so at this point, it's only Wild Air Multifamily LLC, and my understanding is that the bond purchaser is comfortable with that. Because the town is not really on the hook at all, and it's really only the TIF that's pledged from the town. So long as the developer and the purchaser are comfortable, then there's really not a risk to have that entity.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. Thank you.
Sure.
I'll note that we have an officer from Old Town Companies here with us. Sir, is there anything that you want to add while we've got this item open?
Kyle May, CFO of the developer. I was just going to say the Old Town Companies is a guarantor for Wild Air Multifamily. So if Wild Air Multifamily can't make the payment, Old Town has to make the payment. Yeah. So it provides the additional backing.
Yeah, it was a dumb question given that the town's not on the hook, so I apologize for bringing it up.
Great.
So.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions?
No, none.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
So I don't have the actual.
It's linked. If you click the blue link, it'll open
It's
it
the
up.
taxpayer agreement, Wild Air?
Yeah.
Is that what we're looking at here?
And then there's a resolution.
Yeah, so the first link that you see is going to be the taxpayer agreement. The second link is going to be the resolution that you will sign
okay.
that approves the substantially complete
Okay,
taxpayer agreement.
so I'll make a motion that resolution 2024-07 be approved. The resolution of the Zionsville Redevelopment Commission approving the taxpayer agreement for Wild Air Farms.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Heather. We'll move next to other business. Is there a report from the Finance Committee?
No, we just had claims this month, so we're pretty straightforward.
Got it. Thank you. The Governance Committee does not have a report. Commissioner Pierce, is there a CDC update?
A brief update, we met to close out the granting for Zionsville Public House, and we're now in the process of preparing for a brainstorming to pull together the right packaging and positioning for future grant opportunities within the community.
Great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
There's no other items on other business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
If I may,
Yes.
I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball and make Corey come back up here. I believe that there is a movement somewhere within the town government to do what is called a DORA. And I want to try and get the RDC kind of moving towards that way to help also. And if you don't know what a DORA is, it's a designated outdoor refreshment area. And so many municipalities, Carmel, Westfield, have already used that. And I think it's something that Zionsville needs to do. It directly can affect the TIF area for downtown and other areas too, whether it's inside a TIF or not. I've done a little bit of research. They've changed some of the laws as of July 1 for distributing alcohol and things like that. And the DORA makes it a little bit more universe and a little bit easier for businesses to take part in those areas. So I think it's something that hopefully, I know, Corey, that some of the, I think we talked a little bit about it, and you said the
The Parks Department is
moving
also
forward.
interested in it. So actually, I'll let Zach bring you up to speed. We had a conversation, well, Zach met with Parks last week, and the Parks Director and I and the mayor met last month as well, just to understand what are the areas that parks need, and then what areas are needed from a redevelopment standpoint. So, Zach?
Yeah, as Corey said, we're working alongside a number of departments. John Oberlander has been very instrumental in drafting various documents for it. But we're having the DORA include all of the village business district, and it will go down to include all the parcels along Zionsville Road, all the way down to the new pub, Zionsville Public House. So it'll include all of that. From that point, all the way north to include the entire village business district.
I will give you a little bit of background. I recently had some conversations with the ATC and talking about this, and I will tell you that most of the other municipalities are using large, very large areas as their designation so that they can grow into, anything down the line. So anyway, I guess my point is that if the RDC can be helpful, I would like to, throw us in there if we can.
I just want to add something more narrative to what Kent said is, I do development all over the country, and every community that can have one of these desires to not only have one, have as many as they can and as big as they can is typically what we see, so.
Yes, and we're also including the Chamber of Commerce as well in this conversation.
Oh, one last thing, I'm sorry. I've had some informal conversations with the president of the town council about this also, and the town council is behind it, from his standpoint anyway, also.
What is the process and timeline for adopting a designated area for this?
So we would bring forth an ordinance to council. It would require two readings. They could suspend the rules and vote it on the first, but I imagine they'd probably want to hold it over for the second. I think we were looking at an August timeframe, but it should be coming pretty soon.
Okay. So what would the interaction between the RDC and town council and departments of the administration look like?
We could circulate a draft of the ordinance and the map to the commission.
Okay.
Get your input on it before it's submitted to council.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thanks.
Any
Along-
other?
Well, along the same lines, another special district that we're looking at is a special use district, and that would allow for an additional liquor license in the area. So Zach and I are starting to look at that. Our role as the Redevelopment Commission isn't just to manage TIF districts, right? It's to implement economic development and redevelopment activities. And so we do touch a lot of different ways, ways that we can help our businesses thrive. So we are working on understanding what that special use district area would be, and we also anticipate an August timeframe around that as well.
Any other comments or questions?
I'll put a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for adjournment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 9:36 a.m.